Okay, so I recently came into possession of this vintage, made in Japan Crestwood Beatle bass. It's a fully hollow with staple style pickups, three-way selector, and typical of most Beatle basses, a very slender neck and almost like a banjo, a very slender neck and short scale. So really nice for someone like me with small hands who just needs to have a very comfortable instrument to play. And I thought, because I actually have another Beatle bass that's the main bass I play right now these days on demos, which is an Epiphone Viola Bass, I figured I'd compare those two, but also throw in a Fender Jazz Bass, a made in Mexico Jazz Bass, as my, no pun intended, bassline, just to give you a sense of how these basses sound. And it's been my experience, there's a lot of really nice made in Japan vintage Beatle basses out there, and this is the nicest I've ever found, but I also kind of regret not buying a KY bass that had a scroll neck. It's kind of the one that got away. In any event, if you're looking for a Beatle bass and you're looking for one on a budget, then you might consider some made in Japan. And so this will be the third one that I actually play. I'll start with the Fender, then the Epiphone, and then this. Play the same figure, which is a bass line from one of my songs called Make Still Your Wings. And anyway, hopefully this is useful or at least entertaining while you're staying home here during quarantine. So away we go. Okay, so here's the first bass. This is a Fender Mexican jazz bass, and I'm gonna go from the bridge pickup, both pickups, neck pickup, and then back to the bridge and palm mute to kind of emulate the McCartney sound. Same figure. This is going through a Mark bass amp that I'm trying to just have relatively flat and not take advantage of the Mark bass features too much here. Okay, so here we are. Okay, and here's the Epiphone Viola Bass. Okay, and finally, here's the Crestwood. So again, it'll be the bridge together, neck, and then back to the bridge and palm muted. And then, since this is fully hollow, here it is just the instrument itself. I'll step a little closer. So here we arrive at the end of the comparison, and I'm going to be stuck in the situation where this was a dumb comparison to do, because I'm not really trying to compare apples to apples per se, and I'm not really trying to pick a favorite either. But for me, this validates a feeling that I've held for a long time, which is that among all of these vintage made in Japan instruments that you can find kind of on the used market, there are some really nice quality instruments that hold their own and, you know, stand toe to toe with other instruments and are a legitimate budget option for a player like me, sort of an intermediate level player who's just looking for a specific kind of character or a tone. There are instruments out there to fall in love with if that's what you're looking for, and at a much more palatable price point than some of the, obviously if you could try to find a vintage Hofner, you're going to pay $2,000 for that kind of thing, ballpark. This kind of bass you might find for a couple $100, and it's really nice. So hopefully that was fun or instructive, or you're looking at a Crestwood and this happens to be the only video that has an example of it. But keep on rocking and have fun out there, and, you know, keep your eyes peeled for diamonds in the rough.